Where I am now, better than before, through those open doors. Where I am now, where I am now. It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, the FY Radio Show, with your host, Miss Yolanda Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda Lady Hinton, Where I Am Now. I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. E. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors. Let's welcome WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace 95.3 FM, WPCE 1400 AM, at WMVA 88.9 FM, and all social media platforms. Good morning.
All right. Let's welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Facebook Live is on and pop. And look, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we promise we'll shout you out.
Shout out.
All right. Make sure you go over to our YouTube channel at Crystal Records One and at FYI Radio Show host Yolanda Hinton. I tell you what, this is Hump Day Wednesday. You should be up and popping. You know, FYI's Wednesday segment is what's under the hat, issues concerning men. And we have a great topic. FYI topic, the penal system's determination to rehabilitate. And on the line with me is a very special guest, advocate Tony Jones. We're going to talk to him about rehabilitation, his story, and a lot more. Good morning, Mr. Tony Jones.
Good morning. How's everybody doing this morning?
Wonderful.
Doing really good. Thank you so much for taking your precious time and giving it to us and our viewers and listeners. I want to first let you introduce yourself. Tell a little bit about your story, Tony, and then we're going to talk about this subject.
Yes, my name is Tony Jones. I'm a returning citizen. A returning citizen is someone that was formerly incarcerated has come back to the community. And I was recently convicted of a nonviolent drug offense in 1997. I received 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. And I fought hard for 20 years. I studied the law myself, and I filed a federal lawsuit in the district court, and I was running clemency shortly after I filed a lawsuit by a
Tony, did you have any previous experience with, learning about the law, or did your knowledge, information, help you to get where you are with clemency? Were you able to? How did that happen?
I had no prior knowledge of the criminal justice system. I always say, in public school, my teachers never taught me anything about American jurisprudence. So I didn't know anything about the law, but my back was against the wall. I had no choice but to learn the law, or I was going to die in prison.
Absolutely. What did you feel that first moment when you found out that you would be going to prison? What was that like? I can't even imagine the feeling that you had. What was going on in your mind? The feeling you had as you got that sentence. What was your reaction?
I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I felt like I was young. I was 23 years old. I didn't know anything about the law. I received all the time in the world for a nonviolent offense. And I was just so angry because I just knew you just gave me a death sentence for this nonviolent drug offense. And I felt like I was overcharged. I was, being taken advantage of. And I had no choice but to learn the law myself because my lawyer at the time, he wasn't working with me. And I just felt like I had to do it. I had to do it myself.
Okay, now tell us the feeling that you experienced when you got the clemency. What was that like?
The feeling was because being in a maximum prison and I was surrounded by so much chaos and commotion every day, and you have a sense of despair of men in prison who have given up, and I refused to stay in that situation because of the predicament that I was in. Because, like I said, the majority of the men was in there was they had given up, and I didn't want to get the I didn't want to do that.
Yes. So the moment you found out that you were going to be pardoned, tell us that feeling. What was that like?
Can you speak up a little bit here?
Miss C, go ahead.
the moment that you felt relieved when you was getting ready to get out, how did you feel?
It was, the day that I got a phone call from this attorney because, like I said, I was fighting for myself, and I was like, it was so much going on at the time because I was fighting for myself. I was filing my own paperwork, and when I got a phone call from this attorney saying that I was granted clemency, I was in silence for the whole day. I
Mhm.
couldn't even talk because I had been gone for 20 years, and I have seen so much ugliness in the system that I just couldn't believe what was going on. I just felt like I'm finally going home, but I was just in silence with myself until the next day it was published on public record
Mhm.
that Tony Jones has been given clemency by President Obama. That's when I knew it was real.
Wow.
I want to say good morning to you and a couple of your friends that knows you told me to tell you assalamu alaikum, brother Bala Muhammad and Ali Salam. They told me to tell you hello and peace be unto you. When, of all that you have been through, Mr. Tony, I want to say congratulations for standing still and holding on. Now, you also stated that you had to learn a different type of law. What is that different type of law that you had to learn? Was it the black law that you call it?
Yeah, the Black Law Dictionary is the actual legal dictionary that has all the legal terms that we utilize in court. And this is another language. This is in Latin, and it's at the same time as if I wanted to understand the law and I wanted to submit documents and petitions and motions, I had to learn their language. And I had no choice, but the Black Law Dictionary became my best friend, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Then while you was down there doing the Black Law Dictionary, using the Black Law Dictionary, did you ever become, what they call a lawyer in the cell, or was you just strictly to yourself studying to get on out of there?
Well, there was a bunch of other guys that wanted to learn too, and I said, if you want to learn, I don't mind, teaching people what I was learning. If you want to do something about your circumstances, I was like, hey, we can work on this as a group.
Wow.
And it wasn't a lot of us, maybe about 15 of us, but out of 1,500, that ain't even 1%.
That's
You
right.
know, but at
Wow.
the same time, as those guys who wanted to fight for themselves, we came together and we studied and we applied the law that we learned together.
That's absolutely marvelous to hear. You went in there and advocated for yourself. You knew that you had fallen into the hands of a system that would keep you there forever if they could. I wanted to talk about the penal system's determination to rehabilitate, your experience with rehabilitation, Tony. And the reason I was really interested in the topic of rehabilitation, because anytime, you kind of mention that word, it's a word that is not really, you don't really get clarity on rehabilitation in the system. Your experience with rehabilitation, tell us what it was.
So in prison, you know, there's no rehabilitation in reference to programs because it's all about warehousing. But as I was developing myself, reading these books, these law books, and reading other books, my mindset changed, meaning that I found out how much ignorant I was of the law,
Mm.
and now I'm not ignorant of the law. All I want to do is share that with those other inmates that was with me to change our mindset. So therefore, we was planning to leave, we wasn't planning to stay. So that mindset of coming out or developing ourselves, that was our rehabilitation. But the institution didn't have no rehabilitation. They more or less was based on warehousing us in the prison. It wasn't providing anything like that.
As we did research, this is what's supposed to happen, and I want your feedback on it. It says the penal system determination to rehabilitate aims to transform offenders into law-abiding citizens by addressing the root causes of their criminal behavior through interventions like education, vocational training, and psychological support with the ultimate goal of reducing recidivism and promoting successful reintegration into society. Tony, is that a myth? Is that real? From what I heard from you just a minute ago, it is something that is not really happening. Tell us your point of view.
So if you had a date, for example, you was getting out, and you was 12 months to release, they provided some type of program called reentry.
Mm-hmm.
But for those guys who didn't have a date, there was no rehabilitation because they felt like you don't have a date and your prison. Prison is your home. But however, for those guys that was coming out, then they came up with a reentry program to provide them resources, so therefore they can make a successful transition to the community, based on helping people get their driver license, helping people get health insurance, helping people get the bare necessities that people would need transitioning back to the community. So like I said, you had 12 months if you was going back to the community. But all those guys, you gotta remember, I was in a maximum prison because I had a life sentence. So 99% of those guys wasn't getting these reentry programs.
Wow.
Because they was expecting you to be there for a minute or two.
They was expecting guys like us to have those large sentences to be there for the duration of our life.
So why
they weren't even trying to help us to even get out of that mindset of transition back into the community.
So for our listening audience, the rehabilitation is for those who's going to depart and step down from being at Red Onion or and to go to somewhere like St. Bride, so they can try to reenter back into society. Is that what happens? They send them from there to one place to get them, like you said, everything that is well needed to make sure that they are prepared and ready to go. What other programs were there when you was under the maximum penal security? What other programs that you had to deal with or for your use to help you to endure when you start studying the law?
So they had programs, for example, they had some vocational programs. Like I said, those programs were only provided to those inmates who had short times. There was a wait list. If you had 3 years or you had 5 years or something like that, which is a small amount of people, you could get in those programs because they know those programs was making people some type of job ready when they get out of prison. But for the most part, they had little programs like that because it wasn't being in a maximum. I stayed in maximum prison for 18 years, and you don't get programs like that. They have only type of program they have like that is when you have low custody inmates.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I wasn't a low custody inmate, so therefore I wasn't in those institutions that were providing those resources and programs like that.
Tony, did you feel like you had been rehabilitated? Did you feel you were ready to come out and get into the community? And
yes, once I started learning the law and once I felt confident by me filing motions to the court, get responses from the judge, the prosecutor, I felt my mind. I felt I developed myself to be rehabilitated because I didn't think the same. I didn't talk the same. The people I was around, it was around the people who had like minds of myself. I was always planning to leave, never planning to stay. So that mindset like that, I separated myself from the people who wasn't trying to change.
Yes. So let's talk about those that go to come out, those that come out back into the community but go back in. Is there a lack of rehabilitation on their part? Not enough support? What happens when
So
recidivism?
a lot of times, a lot of guys get recharges is they wasn't never planning to leave,
Mm.
and some guys never had the resources in the community. For example, there's, some of us have support. We have family support and friend support, but a lot of people don't have the family and friend support, and sometimes that plays a major role in making that transition back into the community. If you don't have that very necessity of support, then a lot of dudes recommit crimes and they come back again.
That's
Absolutely.
one of the greatest things in the world. When you don't have that support, that causes a man or a woman to do crime over and over again. So who was tied into your support system? What who was there with you to help you to know that that life is better on the outside, that you can make it?
There was a nonprofit organization. I can't tell you the name right off, but it might come to me as I'm thinking about it. It was a nonprofit organization, but the guy that I reached out to, he was previously incarcerated himself, and he had got out maybe 3 years before I did. So he knew all the resources that a typical guy came out would need. So therefore, he said, anytime you need any type of information about going to college, you need any information about getting your license, any information about getting health insurance, any information that you need to make the transition, make sure you call me. I can help you get those very necessities. So that played a major role with me because I want to get to school. He'd get on the phone with me. He'd get on the computer. They asked me what was the interest in, and next thing you know, he'll pull up some local colleges in my area, and we'll talk about that. Then he would tell me about all the different things like food stamps. He would tell me about who I need to contact, like applications, and fill out whatever type of application. It was just that support right there is crucial for people coming out.
It wasn't second chance, was it?
It might. I want to say it might probably be part of the second chance. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Can you tell me why President Obama looked and said, "This is the person that I'm going to pardon"? Why you? This is a wonderful, wonderful thing that this opportunity from one of the greatest presidents that we know. Why you?
You know, one of the things like is this is really important too, is being at a young age of 23 years old and being locked up, and I had nothing to lose but everything to gain, and I learned the law myself, you know, and I filed the necessary documents in the district court to be released, right? And I was just sitting there waiting for the judge to respond, but then out of nowhere, all the laws,
Wow.
and that particular time we had a drug disparity going on. So I don't know if you ever called the 100 to 1 crack versus powder cocaine, meaning that black defendants was getting more time than white
Yes.
defendants in reference to powder cocaine versus crack cocaine.
Yes.
So all that changed while this fight that was going on. And then out of nowhere I get clemency. Now remember is I've been in prison for 20 years so far at that time, and I was helping other guys file lawsuits themselves.
Wow.
So they were saying these guys became lawyers in here. I mean,
Courtroom lawyers.
we didn't want that to happen. They didn't want
Wow.
us to learn the law. They wanted to go in prison, sit down, watch TV, and don't educate ourselves. But I did the opposite, and other guys we did the opposite. So next thing you know, this like, hey, get all those guys out of prison who've been in there over 10 years, who have a nonviolent drug offense, get them out of prison because they don't supposed to be there. They don't supposed to be there.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
how President Obama came into play.
That is marvelous. I wanted to ask the question about an unspoken rule or, the powers that be to keep the penal system alive through lack of rehabilitation to guarantee non success. Do you feel that that's a part of the system wherein, hey, we can't, like you just said, we can't let these guys get like that. We can't let these folks out. This is the business. We got to function and keep folk in. Do you feel like that's something that is in the air?
So as we know, there's prisons, there's private prisons, and and individuals, private people are making money off our blood, sweat, and tears in the prison system.
Wow.
The average person, your neighbor, might have an interest, or he might have stocks in the prison system. And this is a thing that people invest in, and people get return investment. And the system don't want people to come like myself to come to prison, learn the law, and then get out, and then teach other people how to get out. They don't want that to happen. But they've seen in this situation, hey, you gave these guys all this life sentences, and you think this was never going to happen? Well, look what happened. When you gave these guys all this time for nothing, and these guys got in there and learned the law, and next thing you know, and they applied it. So they don't want guys like us, like I said, it's private prison, private for profit prison is real. People, individuals, corporations are making money off our ignorance of the law.
And the more that they put in, the more that money that they make, the more they keep right on building more and more and more. Tony, when you were out here on the streets, just doing what they call lightweight, then did they have a spy on you? Did they have anybody watching you when you got into the system? Why did they give you so much time for such less crime?
That's a good question, because no, they didn't have no drug bust, nothing like that. The only thing they had was convicted felons getting a time cut to testify against me. There was no drugs at trial, and I got all that time. And as I spoke earlier, the 100 to 1, like I said, there was no drugs there. It was just only testimony, hearsay testimony about drugs. And they with a number, and next thing you know, they sentenced me to that number with no drugs at the trial. And they've been doing this for years.
That's right.
Thousands and thousands of people of color, giving us these life sentences in 30 years or 40 years.
That's right.
Did inmates treat you differently? Did those that work in the system, did they treat you differently because you carried yourself in a certain way and you gathered others to get to know more about the law? Did you get any backlash? That's the question from, being proactive.
I got a lot of backlash because some of the staff members took sides, meaning that some took the sides of, you fight for yourself, you keep fighting for yourself, and the other ones took the side of, who do you think he is? Fighting and filing paperwork and becoming this jailhouse lawyer, whatever they used to call.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? But at the same time, I looked at him like, I'm not gonna be a security interest for you to have your job. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna fight every day until I get out of prison, and that's what I did.
And you had the determination that you was getting out. You weren't sitting there plan on staying there. And, because a lot of folks, once they get in, they plan on doing the time, get good behavior, and get out. But your mindset was totally different. You were saying, look, I'm not going to be in this hellhole too long to do what these cats and run backwards. On your out trip, when you was getting ready to get out in, 2017, 18, something of that nature, 19, when you're on your way out, what did you say to yourself in your mindset that you now getting ready to be released to, back to realization? What did you have to do in order to get yourself straight and back on track?
Like I said a little bit earlier, I was saying I was planning to leave every day.
Wow.
And once I started filing the necessary paperwork to the court, my mindset, and I would look at one day, every day, when the phone rang, I was looking at, that's the phone for me to pack and get out. So I was already making that transition in my mind that one day they would say, hey, Jones, you out of here. And I knew that I've been waiting on the bench like a player to get in the game. And I was waiting for my turn. And I knew I was going to be ready. I wasn't going to be a person that would real thing and do nothing like that, because I've seen so many guys do it. I'm like, how would you want to come back to prison when you just came out? It ain't nothing in here.
Wow.
So my mindset was, I'm going to do everything good to keep myself out of the way. I'm going to continue to continue to educate myself. I'm going to continue to surround myself with people of like minds, and I'm going to make something out of myself. That's my whole mindset.
Absolutely. Tell me why Rehabilitation is like a strange word in the penal system. It seemed like it would, like you did tell us and explain why, rehabilitation is not there. But can you kind of like tell us what are some of the downfalls of not rehabilitating folk, and what would be the upside of rehabilitation in that penal system?
So rehabilitation is so important because when you're in prison, you want to educate yourself on some new skills that you can have so you won't have to come out and recommit. So if you come in prison and you learn how to weld, for example, you know for a fact, you know when you leave, you have that skill that you can come out and get a good career job. Or the programs are not provided in maximum prisons, then you don't get that rehabilitation. You don't get that mindset of I can make something of myself when I'm released. You got two people. You got the one who's having those programs, and you got the one who's not having those programs. Two different mindsets. So the person who doesn't get the program, they thinking recommit because they say I don't know anything else but what got me in prison.
Yes.
So it's a need for rehabilitation so these guys can wake up and say, hey, I got to better myself, I got to develop myself, I got to learn the skills so when I get out, I can pursue this as a career and take care of myself and my family.
While there, did you take up any job skills? Did you participate in any job like just stayed in the cell, go to the rec center, rec hall, or did you pick up any skills whatsoever while sitting there?
So while I was in there, the very first thing I did was I enrolled in the college corresponding course. That was basically like in 98, 99. I went
Wow.
to a college out of Georgia in reference to business management. And I took another course about carpentry. Then I took another course on carpentry. Then I got a social degree in computer aided drafting. So I always stayed in the education department because, like I
Yes.
said, I was always planning to leave. I wasn't planning to stay. So I stayed in all the programs. And that's just the bare minimum. I don't went
Yeah.
to so many local colleges because in some places when I was being housed at, they might have had a local college that was offering some type of adult team course, whether it was
Mhm.
computer learning about Microsoft, or learning something about anything like that. I took all of them.
Yes, absolutely. We got a couple of minutes, but Tony, I want to talk about your advocacy outside of prison. You're out. Tell us what's going on now. How do you serve the community at this time?
So right now, I am a organizer for a nonprofit organization. I help the community get things changed on a state level, local level, and national level. I've been organizing since 2017. When I got out, I was volunteering with this organization in 2018. I started as a staff. I started being an organizer. Now I'm a lead organizer and a supervisor. I get things changed like I helped get Medicaid expansion back in 2019. I worked on a campaign lowering prescription drugs. I worked on environmental justice. I worked on criminal justice reform. I don't work on so many issues in the community to help the voiceless, bring their stories, to the decision makers to improve their quality of life.
Absolutely.
How can our listening audience, Tony, help you in this Virginia organization program that you have set up? How can they help you?
You said a question again?
How can the listening audience help you with your Virginia organization donation by donations and things of that nature? How can they help fund you?
So we if they go to virginiaorganizing.org on our website, you can make a donation there. But what I want people to do is I want people to get involved. If
Yes.
you we have chapters in Norfolk, Portsmouth, Hampton, Newport News, Eastern Shore, throughout the whole state of Virginia. Wherever you listen at, wherever you get involved with Virginia Organized. We're a grassroots organization, and we're all about change because there's a lot of laws that's impacting a lot of people that sometimes people don't know how to fight back and push back to get those laws changed. But I want people to get involved so they can learn how to organize and learn how to get things changed so therefore they won't suffer in silence. So go to our website, virginiaorganizing.org, and you can leave an email and say you want to get involved. You want to get involved with a local chapter nearest you, and you can also make a donation there.
All right, Tony, thank you so much for being on, taking your time to talk to our viewers and listeners. We would love to have you back. And we want you to have a wonderful day and a prosperous year.
Thank you so much for inviting me here, and I hope your audience benefits from the things we talked about.
Thank you. All right, y'all. We're going to see you on Fun Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show. And for more information about us, you can give us a call at 757-714-7861. Our special guest has been none other than Mr. Tony Jones from the Virginia Advocacy for the Virginia Organization Community Involvement. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 on all social media platforms and all radio stations. And don't forget, if you'd like to email us your email, we'll email you back by going to FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. Don't forget to have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Bye now.
All right. So glad that you all joined us. Wow, what a story. What a testimony. What a life. And to come out with success and the feeling of rehabilitation is none other than a miracle. We want to say Rodrigo03.Campos join us. Sheila Robbins on Facebook and all others. Roberta Carter was on last week and I missed on Monday. Want to shout her out if she's on. Everybody that's on, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your support. Look, we have some great shows coming up. FYI After Dark. We got Hot Topics. We got Around the Town, community news and events, Edward Everett. We got cryptocurrency, money, and more. Jason L. Baker. Relationship 2025, Alicia Bennett. Our morning show, of course, What's Under the Hat Men's Issues. If you have any suggestions, inbox us. And our Fun Friday. We're going to have a good time on Fun Friday. Make sure you join us right here at 9:30 a.m. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And if you want to be a special guest sponsor intern, please listen to the information Mr. E has.
If you want to be a special guest sponsor or intern of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, all you have to do is give us a call at 757-714-7861. Or you can email us. If you email us, we'll email you back at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com or inbox us on Facebook, Edward Everett, Miss Yolanda Lady Hinton, or FYI. And we thank you so much for tuning in to the most talked about radio show in the world.
You all are a blessing. We will see you back here on Fun Friday. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye now.